Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cordant and we are back for some more Baldur's Gate 2. So we're finishing up the spellhold dungeon, at least this what looks to be an underground section. And something very important happened in the previous episode, which is we are starting to reach our 3 million experience mark. So I kind of delayed the level up to this episode so I could think about what spells I was going to take and also importantly what high level abilities to take. And Mr. Palpatine, Mr. Edwin and Mr. Corgan all leveled up. They're all going to have access to those high level abilities. And I'm going to start with Corgan, which is the simplest one. So no new proficiency slots, usual stuff for a fighter, THAC reduction, hit points. But now we have abilities. Now, regarding abilities for a fighter, they aren't terribly complicated. They're actually quite simple. You have whirlwind attacks to make you attack extra fast. So, for instance, greater whirlwind attack will give you the ability to, for a round, attack 10 times. So, even without any kind of extra APR weapon in the offhand, without having to dual wield, without improved haste, whatever you want to be using, you can use. Activate this, you will have 10 attacks per round. So it's a cool ability, but since I'm mostly going to be using dual wielding and I have wizards for improved haste, I'm not very much going to go for this. We have Death Blow and Greater Death Blow, which is cool. It has its uses. So Death Blow will kill any creature of 10th level or lower when they are struck by the warrior. And Greater Death Blow is the same thing, so for 2 rounds, but it affects creatures of 12th level or lower. I'm not very good at this, I don't really know what level creatures are, so I usually tend to not use this. But still. Resist magic, it is what we expect. So for 4 rounds, the warrior has 50% magic resistance. Kind of cool. Although a cleric can also buff you with this. Power attack. This is actually a nice ability. And also a very, very important ability for another reason. So for 2 rounds, every strike that the warrior lands on an opponent, that opponent needs to save versus death at a -4 penalty. If they fail, they get stunned. Also for 2 rounds. And this is a cool ability, because it's useful. And also because it's a prerequisite to Critical Strike, which is, in my opinion, the best high level, or one of the 2 best high level abilities that a fighter can have. So Critical Strike, as the name suggests, a high level warrior's intimate knowledge of vital spots on opponents allows him to, once per day, concentrate all of the attacks in 1 round to strike a vital area every time. With this ability, every attack roll made in the next round is a natural 20, a critical hit. So what does this mean? This means that someone like Corgan, who's sitting at 10 attacks per round or 9 attacks per round because of dual wielding and improved haste, our friend is going to be landing every single hit. Even if the opponent has an armor class of -200. It doesn't matter, because every roll is a natural 20. And obviously, if they don't have a helmet or some kind of way to prevent critical strikes, they're gonna take critical hits every single time. And this hurts a lot. This can drop dragons really, really quickly, for instance. We also have Smite. Smite I don't think I've ever used. With the Smite ability, the warrior gains the ability to strike a mighty blow, knocking an opponent back for a considerable distance and stunning the opponent for 1 round. All attacks made in the first round are critical hits. So, I don't really like this one because it does the same thing as Critical Strike. The difference is it knocks back your opponents, stunning them for 1 round. The thing is, stunning is cool, but knocking them back, not so much. You really want to use all the time you have while the HLA is active to strike, not to run around opponents. Warcry I've never used because it sucks. With the Warcry, the warrior emits a powerful and frightening yell that will panic all opponents in a 15-foot radius if they don't make their save versus spell. I mean, come on. a level 2 wizard or a level 2 spell from a wizard can do this, which is kind of eh. And the other great ability you can get as a fighter, in my opinion, is hardiness. Because if you use hardiness, you gain 40% resistance to all forms of physical damage. The ability lasts for 1 round for every 2 levels of the warrior. So this can last for a while. And it also stacks with Defender of Easthaven, which Corgan currently has. So just to give him some defensive abilities, I think I'm gonna begin by giving him hardiness, because I prefer Corgan to stay alive than to deal more damage. But then we're gonna mainly be focusing on critical strikes, which is the most important skill for him. Now, there you go. As for myself, Mr. Palpatine, there is a couple more choices to do, since we are a sorcerer. So we've maxed our proficiency slots, woohoo! We can now attack with daggers proficiently. And let me see my proper information. Okay. We can now cast an additional 8 level spell and 3 level 9 spells. We also have to pick from our abilities. And these are... we have 3 very simple ones. An extra level 6 spell, level 7 and level 8. You need to take them in order. They do just what the name says. Energy Blades is pretty much a Melf's Minute Meteors on steroids. So the disc gives plus 10 to Thaco. Awesome. And when thrown does 1d4 plus 5 missile damage as well as 1d10 additional electrical damage. This spell creates 1 energy disc per level of the caster and sets the caster's attacks to 9, as long as the discs are held. So even without improved haste, you attack 9 times per round. It only lasts for 4 turns though, which is not that great. Improved Alacrity is the one that we are going to be taking, and it is one of the best spells in the game, in my opinion. So, it lasts for 2 rounds, it has a fairly large casting time of 9, so it's not really something you like doing while in the middle of combat. But what this does is, it essentially erases the pause between casting spells. When cast, the wizard can begin casting a new spell the instant he is finished casting his current spell. The effect lasts for 2 rounds. Now, this may not look like much, so 2 rounds of this effect. The thing is, when you couple this with Robe of Vecna and Amulet of Power, a lot of your spells, a lot of the mage spells that I'm currently using at least, don't have a casting time higher than 5. And the Robe of Vecna plus the Amulet of Power reduce my casting time by 5. This means that all spells that have a casting time of up to 5 are instant and can be cast sequentially, without any kind of break. So when you couple this with something like, let's say a time stop, you can unleash like half your spellbook, your entire spellbook, depending on what you have, during the improved alacrity window and during that time stop. So this is the one we're going to be taking. I also have a component installed in SCS which only allows me to take an HLA once, so I cannot take, let's say, 5 improved alacrities. The upside to that is that they do not take up a level 9 spell slot, which is kind of annoying. And I think it makes more sense like this. We also have Dragon's Breath, which is pretty much just an enormous fireball. So it deals 20d10 fire damage, and it knocks an opponent off their feet and away from the caster. The victim can save versus breath weapon to take half damage and not be blown backwards. And this is party friendly. This is quite cool. Summon Planetar I don't think I can use because you need to be a good person to summon a Planetar. But we can summon a Dark Planetar, which is very, very important and very good. This spell opens the Abyssal Gate and calls forth a Fall Planetar to fight at the caster's side until the spell expires or the Planetar's avatar is slain. Okay, so one of the best spells in the game, one of the definitely the best summon in the game in my opinion. We will be taking it later. And we have Comet, which is pretty much the same thing as Dragon's Breath. And what this does is the same thing. So, powerful shockwave from the meteor. These knock down... that knocks away all foes in the area of effect. Those knocked down must save versus paralysis or be stunned for 3 rounds. So this one has a stun effect. It deals 10d10 fire damage with no save. Also party friendly. So we are going to be taking Improved Alacrity on Mr. Palpatine because he is using Robe of Vecna and Amulet of Power. And also very importantly, because since we are a sorcerer, we can actually pick what level 9 spell we want. So there's a couple of cool level 9 spells. We can only take, I think, 2 or 3, at least in useful time. And the best ones, in my opinion, are Chain Contingency. So this pretty much works like a normal contingency, which we've been using on, let's say, Edwin, Jan, and Herdelis. The difference is, you have more conditions. So in the case of contingency, you only have stuff like your hit points have been reduced to a certain amount, you've been hit, you are helpless, and you can only target yourself. And also you can only slot a single spell up to level 4, maybe? I think it's level 4, for the contingency. Chain Contingency allows you to slot spells up to 8th level. And you have a lot more conditions to actually use. This is something that I'm looking forward to taking, but not right now. We have Imprisonment, which is also great. I've already explained it before. We actually used it in a quest. This is something that you can go up to someone as long as they are not immune to abjuration. And with a touch and a long casting time on one creature, you can not immediately, let's say. You can, with this single spell, remove that creature from the game. So you get the experience, you don't get the items, which is kind of unfortunate. But it's something very useful to, let's say, you have a Planetar beating you up and you need to remove him from the fight, and Imprisonment is a sure way to do so. Okay, so also a very good one. Shape Change is a cool spell. It allows you to change your shape into that of a Mind Flayer, an Iron Golem, a Greater Wolfware, Earth Elemental, Fire Elemental, or Giant Troll. This, I think, is particularly cool because of the Mind Flayer and the Iron Golem transformations, because Iron Golems are immune to a lot of stuff. So I think they're immune to all kinds of magic, all kinds of elements. They are not immune to physical damage, however. And the Mind Flayer, obviously, not because of its immunities, but the fact that if you, let's say, if you turn yourself into a Mind Flayer and you have improved haste on yourself, you can suck the brains out of someone really quickly. So it's a cool way to deal with enemies that have like enormous amounts of hit points or a lot of regeneration. If you drain their intelligence, they will die instantly. So it's kind of fun. I'm not going to take it on my sorcerer, but it is a fun spell to have. Spell Trap, we already have one from our Staff of the Magi, but it's very powerful. Spell Strike, also a very good spell. What this does is it targets one creature and it immediately dispels every single spell protection that they have. So stuff like Entropy Shield, Glove of Invulnerability, Magic Resistance, minus Spell Deflection, Shield of the Archon, Spell Deflection, Spell Immunity, Spell Shield, Spell Trap, Spell Turning. All that stuff is stripped out immediately. One of the things though that's not really described here is if the opponent has a Spell Shield, the Spell Strike will only remove the Spell Shield. So you gotta be careful to actually remove the Spell Shield before sending in a Spell Strike, but after this hits, all of this stuff is removed. It's very, very useful. Instead of you having to cast, let's say, like 4 Ruby Rays, you can just cast 1 Spell Strike. Time Stop, one of my favorite spells. We've seen enemy casters use this a bunch by this point, so I don't really have to explain it. You just stop time for 3 rounds and only you can move. There are certain enemies in the game, very rarely, but there are certain enemies in the game that are immune to time stop, so you gotta be careful with that. Because you might time stop for yourself, but then the enemy is gonna rip apart your party. But yeah. Well, of the Banshee, it's like an AoE instant death effect, but they have a saving throw versus death with no penalty, so it sucks. And Wish is a very, very good spell, but you also need to have very high wisdom. If your wisdom is below 18, I don't think it's really worth taking this, because the choices you are presented are not that great. Okay, so for now, the one we'll be taking is Time Stop, because it's also the best friend of Improved Alacrity. The idea here being, you cast Time Stop, you have 3 rounds to do whatever you want, you start by casting Improved Alacrity, and you unload as many spells as you want, during that time, of course, at your enemies, while Improved Alacrity is active, and while Time Stop is also active. And then everything on the screen dies. This is what we're taking. Palpatine is a happy panda right now. Mr. Edwin, similar stuff, all proficiencies gained. He has additional level 9 spells. And we get to choose an ability. Now, for him, since we don't really have any kind of item that improves casting speed, I'm gonna go with something that's more independently good. So I'm gonna be taking a Dark Planetar here. And it's gonna help us out immensely in tougher fights. Okay. So no level 9 spells for Mr. Edwin at this point. Sadly, we only have Freedom. I guess I can slot these in just because. But still. And yeah, we have our people with HLAs, or at least 3 of our people. Okay, now that's done. I told you guys it's going to take a bit. That's why I wanted to keep it for this episode. And the only thing we were left in this area of the dungeon was this weird machine. What this weird machine does is it takes tokens to return certain items. Now, just as a showcase, because some of you guys may be curious as to what they do, just quick save this. I'm gonna show what these do. But the ones I'm planning on taking, since we have 21 tokens, I'm planning on taking the 15 tokens one and the 5 tokens one. Because this one is the best option, at least in my opinion, of course. These two are kind of irrelevant, but I'll show you in a second. So, placing 20 tokens, you get a chest piece.
I'll carry no more. Beyond the ground.
This chest piece is the Jester's Chain +4. Friends of Dekir Fast Hands, a bard who insisted on playing the rowdiest towns on the Sword Coast, gave him this suit of magical chain as a gift. The chainmail was given to protect Dekir from the drunken spectators who often threw rotting produce, chairs, and even knives. Jesus Christ. At Dekir. The bard appreciated the gift, but painted it with wild colors to better fit into his show. So, this is just a chainmail that gives you a nice armor class of 1. But, I mean, it's not really that useful because Herdelis would only be gaining 1 AC as an improvement to his melodic chain. And it doesn't even allow you to cast spells. So, in my opinion, this is really not worth the trouble. So, loading the game. We have at 10 tokens. We have Talos' Gift. So, boots that give you 50% electrical resistance. Cool, but as you can imagine, not mind-blowing. And at 5 tokens, we have the same thing. So these are boots already from Baldur's Gate 1. These give you 50% cold resistance. This is actually kind of cool, because cold resistance is something that I don't usually buff myself with, protection from cold, and this can actually help you out a bit in some times when enemies start casting Cone of Cold, or as we've seen before versus the Elemental Lich, casting Ice Storm on top of Edwin, and Edwin had no protections. This can help out. And the only one we're missing, and it's the one we're gonna take, is the one from level 15. And then we might also take the one from level 5, from 5 tokens I mean, because why not? And we get, again, we already know these boots, but still, where are they? They're here. So, Boots of Cold Resistance and the Paws of the Cheetah. So, doubling movement rate for any party member. This can be useful if I want my front line to be able to reach places quickly. I can have a Paws of the Cheetah up on Herdlis and also on Misericordian. The Boots of Cold Resist, I guess I can just... I can put them on myself. And I can give these to Edwin. He is now very well protected against missiles. -8. Wonderful. Okay. That's done. Let's get going. The exit is over here. Time for some action. I should also rest soonish.
How long do you intend to
A bit too much coffee.
my back?
Because my party members are kinda starting to get exhausted. Yeah.
I can't hold on any longer.
I know, Palpatine, I know. Relax, my friend, relax. So yeah, we killed a bunch of Minotaurs, we killed a Goth, we fought Bodhi. We... How are you still up here, man?
Be quick with it. Abyss be paid well for this.
We put the horns on the Minotaur, and the Minotaur opened the door for us. And now, let's see what's on the other side.
Execute Order 66.
Excuse me? Goblin and Kobold Commandos? This seems...
Yes, don't yell.
Weird.
I can hear you just fine.
What do you want, groundling?
Okay.
This sparrow is ready to fly.
I guess we can throw daggers. Whoa, where are you going, man?
Be bloody ready.
Am I ready?
What is Herdelis doing? I think he's using it as melee. Ah, okay, he was using it as melee. An apparition. Here begins the test of madness, of sanity and clarity. Presented with nonsense, how will you proceed? What? You wish to test me, but this place is derelict. The directors are dead. The procedures laid down proceed regardless of time or circumstance. Such is the nature of this place. Protests are futile. This area works on its own, allowing the directors to watch in safety. You are here, and there is no other way out. Comply or die. You are sane enough to understand that. Now, when madness beckoned, how did you answer? Now comes the judgment, when we decide your fitness for life outside. Very well. Do as you must, Spectre. I will not protest if it is pointless. Very good. Restraint is a good sign. Perhaps you are closer to release than I thought. We shall see. Oh, he takes me away from here. Okay. Weird.
Fate beckons us all.
Fear me, scum.
Okay, I'm guessing he wasn't expecting us to kill this before it summoned Myconid and confused our party. Okay. So what did he call this test? Madness. Okay, so when madness beckoned. Now comes a test of sense. A test to see if madness pollutes. 'Twas in the wood that I got hit, so I sat me down to seek it. Whoa, okay. 'Twas in the wood that I got it, so I sat me down to seek it. I could not find it no matter how hard I looked, and so I took it home with me. What is it? I'm guessing a splinter. Clarity! You see through a muttering to pull the single piece of intelligence within. A sign of sanity or an understanding madness. More questions amidst the secret places. Okay. Ooh, dinner party. I just remember that in the place with the kobolds and the goblins there were some places to loot. I didn't loot them. I hope they don't contain anything interesting. There's a
Yes,
a drawer over
tactic,
here.
That.
Is this trapped by something? I gotta find a better buckler for Jon. Okay. Okay, let's speak to these people. But I also want to check out the table. Ooh. Take it. A cloak of reflection. This is very nice. Vorn Druid Slayer crafted this cloak and used it with great success in his campaign to eliminate the druids from all the woods south of Baldur's Gate. His campaign ended abruptly when he encountered a flock of wyverns who were attracted by the cloak's sheen. They killed Vorn and used the cloak to cover their nest, serving to protect their young during electrical storms. Ah, it's kind of wholesome. So, equipment abilities. The wearer is now immune to electrical damage, and it reflects all electrical damage back to the source. This is a very useful item. I guess you can use it. I'm not using this one, so... Okay. Very cool item.
Do it.
Apparition? Found your way to this place, did you? What, I wonder, drove you here? Wandering to the edges of madness, did you expect to find sense and reason? None in this place, no matter how thorough the searching. To even suggest such a thing from the departed and deranged. Aye, it suggests imbalance even in the asking. Then what is the proper fate? Answer nonsense with nonsense. Let a backstep of logic move them forward. No sense to be had. Let us see how far into the strangest you can stride. Answer me this and decide where you end. Is it better that the best of things and worse than the... Whoa. I'm reading this wrong. It's not a question. It is better than the best of things and worse than the worst of things. You love it more than life. You fear it more than death. The rich have no need of it, and the poor have it in endless supply. It is so like before, I like trying to find the answer before reading the answers. It is better than the best of things, and it's also worse than the worst of things. You love it more than life, you fear it more than death. The rich have need of it, and the poor have it in endless supply. Humility? Nah. You don't love humility more than life. Okay, I gotta see. I like it. So nothing is better than the best of things, and nothing is worse than the worst of things. You love nothing more than life. You fear nothing more than death. The rich have need of nothing, and the poor have endless supply of nothing. I love it. Giddy I am with the clarity of your perception, but free you are not. Have my fellows questions for this young madman, sorry. That is more than certain, another path of words to wander through and seek an end. It runs as it will, but never does it walk. Already does this sound like a river. There is a mouth to see, but never does it talk. A bed it surely owns, but never does it sleep. Possesses it a head, but not the one that weeps. This is a river. A river. An answer that moves you forward, though only if you know where you began. Answer another from my kind to progress. And know that, that though there is no sense, progression is measured by a scale unknown. Move on, move on. I make you weak at the worst of all times, but in the end, I keep you safe. This is fear. You'll sweat in my presence even as you grow cold. Fear. I dwell with the weak, rarely the brave, but without me, who could tell the difference? Fear. It is fear. A success that moves you towards goals you cannot know. Does it satisfy? Who can say? It does, though not enough. One last wordplay to see if you think as we. Then you shall get what you could not have had. Okay. It brings back the lost as though never gone. Memory. Shines laughter or tears with a light long since shone. Memory. A moment to make, a lifetime to shed. Memory. Valued when, but lost when you're dead. Lovely. I like these riddles. Your thoughts are clear and flowing, and free you are from here. Onward, to places secret and rewarding. Yes, onward, and leave this festive place. You will see the unknown, and if willing, receive its gifts. That makes very little sense at all. Then it is more than I would have hoped from a room of the maddened dead. So yeah, you gotta be careful to actually loot the table before moving forward, because otherwise you miss out on the chance to get the cloak. And I'm still wondering about the area with the Kobold Commandos and Goblin Commandos, if I missed something.
It's treason, then.
This is a more open area. Okay, trolls.
I strike a blow!
Oh, you bitch. Remove magic, really? Well,
Ready up in a red
thankfully it didn't hit many of my people. Ah, move away. No, no, no. Get away.
Solid blow!
Get away. Okay. Ooh, right on time for the stone skins to end.
So be it.
Oh. Okay, money. Wait, he dropped something.
Hold on any longer.
Wait, they dropped two. A giant troll's head. After slaying the troll, you've obtained his decapitated head. This is clearly usable for something. And here we have the heart of the mountain. I think this is actually an item from SOD. Yeah, usable by shaman. You get an armor class +2 and summon spirits gain 10 hit points. Okay, this is to sell. It sucks.
Execute Order 66.
I'm kind of wondering if I need to place the head on the altar over there. to move forward. This place is a momentary relapse. It has little to do with the testing. That you found your way here at all is interesting. We shall see how this affects your final evaluation. You are to proceed to judgment when ready. I figured. I would like to further explore this area first. There is something odd about the altar. It shall be as you say. I shall be here when you are prepared. But there's also something weird here. On the dice, there is a blood-encrusted altar to some disgusting eight-legged beast. There is the taint of malevolent power in the air. I don't like this. I'm gonna quick save just in case I make something bad here. I wanna sacrifice the head. Oh. When the head is placed on the altar, the room rumbles and the head disappears. A gruff voice speaks a word in a guttural language, and an item appears on the altar. Bone Club, +2, +3 versus Undead. This vicious club was created hundreds of years ago, reportedly by a shaman on a quest for revenge. His family had fallen to undead, and so personal was his rage that he amputated his own leg, using the femur for the body of the weapon. Magical runes empower it, though it is likely the sheer force of the shaman's hatred would have served on its own. Now, come on. Who gets so angry that he cuts off his own leg and uses it as a weapon? Jesus Christ. Okay. This weapon sucks. Go away. Okay, is the altar done? Seems to be done. Okay. Oh god. Okay, I am prepared to move to judgment. Steal yourself. We go. Okay. And now comes judgment. Have your thoughts been focused by your ordeal? Have you gained clarity? Who can say? It has been quite some time since the process has been refined. Really, I do not think you were intended to survive. But I will fulfill my purpose as best I can and use your own words to judge your fate. Your will is satisfactory. You have passed what tests I had to offer. This session is now done. You are free. Okay. Woo. Okay, a lot of experience gained here.
Do it.
Is this trapped, Jan? I would hate to die at the end. But how do I leave? What? Maybe I leave through here?
Beneath the earth
The hell? A stringed scroll?
Just think, we shan't need go far to lie in our graves.
No, the thing is, where do I go? Is this also a test? Ah, what? Man, this is not... this is not obvious at all.
Ah, there you are.
Oh, you
I see that
bitch.
you've weathered the storms of this place with reasonable pluck and health. It does me good to see you alive.
I face treachery at every turn. Tell me why I shouldn't kill you. Such hostility, and I wager it is well earned. It is, however, misdirected. I do not wish to be your enemy here. Irenicus pushes ever forward, though I cannot see how I will profit. The blade he gave me is hardly compensation. Better than this place were free for the looting. I offer advice to foster a trust, and you may determine the value as you wish. It is simple enough for the moment and will save you in the long run. Make your words count, they will determine your lifespan. Irenicus is a power indeed. I have seen no chips in his armor or armor of spells. You would need an army to face him, and I suggest that there is one to be had. The inmates of this place are a resource to be tapped. Release them, and their anger and frustrations will strike at Irenicus. That is my suggestion, and I leave the workings of it to you. Upstairs, your army awaits. Use it, or you will perish. We have no need of support from mad wizards. We have enough magic. Let us attack Irenicus now. And journal updated. My divine soul has been taken from me as it was taken from Imwen. We have been deposited in yet another dungeon. We must find a way to escape. I am loath to listen too closely to the words of the human, but his advice may be wise. Let us at least see if these mad wizards can be released and harnessed. Can I count on TX?
Patience, my friend.
Ah, okay, so he said upstairs. So maybe this is where Irenicus currently is. So I don't want to go there. Anyone over here?
You need my... Got it.
Okay, I cannot open this. Same deal.
You sound it shall be done with
Okay, you cannot open it either.
not ready.
Okay, so maybe I do need to go upstairs.
What?
This can be trapped, so check it out. Some items over there.
In such a place as this. Most
Okay, but I think that's the only loot in here. Aside from this one, of course. A cone of cold spell. Ooh.
Execute Order 66.
Okay, so I'm guessing this one isn't locked.
Don't yet. I'll do it.
Or at least it can be lockpicked. Just check for traps and then move on.
This
Okay.
a fair gambit. You make pleasant company, my raven.
You know,
I'll be glad.
Check for more traps.
Why, my
at
raven?
that
Welcome late
time,
for oblivion.
we...
Because I honestly don't remember if there are traps in this place or not, so I gotta take it carefully. Huh. Really? Oh! First Journal of Jon Irenicus. No doubt this text will prove to be an embarrassing legacy, but I must order my thoughts herein, lest they spill from my accursed mind. Spellhold is in my control. Once recovered from my torpor, I made short work of what defenses there were. Coordinator Wanev... Yeah, this was the guy we found in the cell. Conveniently removed himself, suffering a peculiar reaction to a spell of mine. I forget what it was. Perhaps something I heard in the temples of Sultan Esselar. Does it even matter now? My condition grows worse, and what I remember of my home is fleeting. I see images of family whose names I cannot recall and dreams of emotions I no longer feel as vividly. On occasion, I sense nature as if she were my mother, as though never removed from her bosom, but such moments are few. I bear the hallmarks of senility with the rage and power of a young elf to lament it. So he's an elf. Okay. Bodhi endured the curse much better than I do now, but she was more focused and, more importantly, undead. She is now thoroughly seduced by her vampiric condition, despite its previous failure to counteract the death sentence she was under. She had embraced her mortality, excited by the urgency of it, but now she is confused. Imoen's soul has restored her, but her motives remain transparent, even simplistic. She revels in her carnal nature, even as the elf within despises the creature she has become. Okay, so both Jon and Bodhi are elves, and I think Jon took my soul and Bodhi took Imoen's soul. I would pity my sister if I were capable, but emotions come to me only in violent outbursts. Elasim has taken my ability to truly feel, and I am left with the threadbare heart of a human, or some other short-lived vermin. I will not suffer this much longer. Spellhold has met my needs quite well. They had made a practice of experimenting on inmates here for quite some time, though in a barbaric fashion. I refined their instruments and have finished preparing the necessary rituals. I am quite through with Imoen, though she can still serve as bait. I am certain Palpatine will make an appearance sooner or later. Bodhi has delivered more assassins than I had asked for. I disposed of some in advance, but it seemed such a waste. I think she has done this on purpose, as she has taken to releasing the extras in the maze below and hunting at her leisure. Okay, cool. Manhunt. I marvel at her hunger and how she seems so alive in her undeath. Perhaps it is the soul of Imoen. Soon I shall see for myself. Palpatine had best hurry. Okay, let's actually store this entry.
Good.
And with this, I think we can make our way upstairs and see if we can then amass this army that Seymour Navarian has told us about. Although I don't trust the guy, I should never trust the guy, I will never trust the guy. But yeah, so this is a nice place to end this episode. I'm very happy to have some HLAs on my people. I have time stop on Palpatine. I gotta find some level 9 spells for Mr. Edwin. And the rest of my people will soon follow getting their high level abilities. And I cannot wait. Especially for Jon. I think I'm gonna have some fun with Jon. But yeah, so as always guys, I want to thank you all for being here in the channel, watching some Baldur's Gate 2 with me. If you guys have any thoughts, any questions, leave a comment. If you want to get notified about future videos coming to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And I hope to see you all in the next episode. Until then, stay safe everyone.